And as we all know, guys, our goal is always to work together in unison and as one community to showcase the importance of working together to get the concerns of our community addressed. And that's why I'm honored to have the representatives from each district at every one of these listening tours. I'm going to have my chief of staff actually give an overview and insight as to what we've been doing and what these listening tours represent. And I'm also going to do something different tonight because this is one of the lowest. This is outside of season for a lot of our residents of Singer Island. We knew that it was going to be a low turnout. So what we're doing is we're Kaylin just graduated from Dreyfus. Thanks, Walt, scaring everybody. Kaylin just graduated from Dreyfus, and he is actually an amazing young man. He interned for the entire summer, and he is someone that wants to serve his community. He's still considering between going off to Howard University or staying home for 2 years and going to school. So he's a great asset. He's been phenomenal this summer, and I'm just proud to have him. He'll be monitoring the YouTube, taking notes, and making sure that we can get feedback from the concerns of residents that are going to be watching it from afar as well. I'd be honored to also acknowledge my former councilwoman, Dr. Julie Botel is here as well. She represented the city for many years. So thank you for coming, and all the other amazing leaders and community advocates here. Former Housing Commissioner Horace Towns, who works for Dr. Spiritus. Thank you for being here. Horace Towns, he's the legislative aide for Dr. Spiritus. And I will have my chief of staff introduce what we're doing tonight.
Good evening, everybody. These listening sessions have been amazing. We've had considerable amount of comments and communication from you all, the residents. When the mayor came into this appointment, he came in with a framework for an action plan, but we knew that we couldn't complete that action plan until we had an opportunity to speak with you, to hear from you, to hear some of your concerns. And so we've been going all over the city. I think we're probably somewhere close to number 20 in terms of the number of stops that we've had. But we've had an opportunity to speak with residents. We have had an opportunity to speak with staff as well to hear your concerns. So this is absolutely an opportunity for you to tell us what we've been getting wrong. And I'm sure you guys have plenty that you would like to see in that regard. But this is also an opportunity for you all to share with us some of what you would like to see happen. You know, what are the visions that you have for Riviera Beach moving forward? What would you want to see coming from not just the mayor's office, but the entire city? So as you share today, please share your complaints, share your concerns, but also share some of your ideas, some of the things that you think could work here in our city. So I'm going to be taking notes, and at the end, I'm going to give a recap of everything I heard. For those who have attended some of the other listening sessions, they'll tell you I write the notes as you say it. So if you don't want it to be written that way, however you say it is how I'm going to write it, and I'll recap it to you. And then we take all of the notes that we're receiving from all of the different listening sessions, and we're compiling them into a larger document. And we're coming up with action items and our strategy for how we want to see the city move forward based on the information that you all have been shared. So what you share with us tonight will be integrated into the mayor's action plan. So again, we want to hear all of your concerns, but we also want to hear some of your visions for it as well.
And I do want to give an opportunity for Dr. Hayes, who is actually representing the manager's office, City of Riviera Beach.
Good evening again. On behalf of City Manager Evans, I am here, of course, to take notes, but also we want to share that we are concerned about your concerns, and we also want to know what your ideas are, and we want to work to make those concerns and ideas bring it to fruition, whatever it is that your concerns are.
So this is an open dialogue, guys. This is where we're going to have transparent, honest conversation. It's okay to just kind of express our concerns in this room, because public perception is that we make a spectacle in these meetings. I told my board and I pleaded with my staff and everyone there that was associated that we want to make sure we elevate the image and representation of what Riviera Beach represents. Dr. Spiritus has served in government for many years, and he understands the importance of image and optics when it comes to promoting and advertising Riviera Beach. So if we're on these council meetings arguing, infield fighting, or having 3 minutes being bashed, it doesn't help with the image of building Riviera Beach. So together tonight, let's bash. Let's talk about the concerns, but let's also come up with some solutions and what we'd like to see and what options we have so we can work together and incorporate that in hopefully a proposal that I can go over with my colleagues, with the staff, and present into policy that can change the direction of growth for Singer Island, Riviera Beach, the entire community as a whole. We're going to open up the mic, and this is not going to be a night where we're just going to sit here and look and wait for somebody to talk. I want engagement. I want conversation. Kaylin will be watching social media, and if everybody goes onto the city website, YouTube, you can actually forward it to any friends that couldn't be here tonight. As you just heard, it's live, so you might want to turn your phone down first. So, but guys, it will be live, and we'll just get started. Thank you, ma'am.
So can you just tell us what's planned for Singer Island? What's like in the future for Singer Island? Like next 2 years, this building, that building, people that don't always get involved. Yeah, I know, but that's okay.
No worries. So what's planned for Singer Island? Holistically, I know the entire city, our goal is to focus on infrastructure as a city. Number one priority, number 1, 2, and 3 for the last 6, 7 years has been about water. So the vision and the plan right now is what do the people want to see? And it's more so not what our vision is. I've been appointed for 4 months. I want to hear what your vision and what's your goal and what you want to actually see on Singer Island. I've heard different concerns with growth over development. I've heard concerns with not putting any more development on Singer Island. I've heard concerns with trying to expand and develop some of the land that we do have and the resources. We have our waste main that has to be addressed. That's one of the things that I know Dr. Spiritus has been advocating in Tallahassee and Washington for. So we have to make sure that these concerns are being addressed. What's the vision for Singer Island? It's what the people want. We're not in election time. We're not campaigning or advertising. What does Singer Island and what do the residents of Riviera Beach want to
So
see?
there's nothing that's planned right now that you could tell us within the next.
So we
maybe
currently-
he's handing the mic here.
So we currently,
Well, I'll pick up on what's really happening right now. We could talk about what's in the near future. So Station 86, our new firehouse, we'll be breaking ground on that, having a groundbreaking ceremony in the next few weeks. It'll take probably 2 to 3 years to build it because of the water tower that goes along with this. We have to take down the firehouse first so that we can build a new water tower where the firehouse is. The water tower is going to be about 50 feet, 48 to 50 feet high, as opposed to the 80 some odd feet that was in the original proposal. We fought that and made sure that we lowered the height. But that's going to be a brand new state-of-the-art water storage facility, all brand new pumps. Everything will be raised up high, so if there's a flood, it won't take out the water itself. But when that is done, then we'll be able to build the firehouse where the water storage facility is right now. And you saw the renderings. I think you can see some of my newsletters. Most of you got it in the mail in the last couple of days. But we have a bunch of them outside if you want to go through them. You'll see the rendering of what the firehouse is going to look like. Maybe a little bit different, but it's pretty close to what it's going to look like. So that project will be starting, and that's a bond issue that everybody passed, everybody voted on, and that's how that's being built. But what we learned is when we were doing all the studies for the firehouse, that the water lines that run from the firehouse all the way up to the Waterglades condominium do not have enough pressure for us to fight real fires. So we will be changing. If you saw the surveyors on the road on North Ocean the last, I guess, 4 or 5 weeks, you've seen surveyors out there. They're surveying for the new water line that's going to go in there all the way up to the Waterglades so that we'll have the ability to fight the fires properly that happen in that area. So that's what's going on there. As far as the water goes.
and real quick, this is more so for tonight because Dr. Spiritus did send out the newsletter and the details, but this is more so to hear from our residents.
Right.
Because the concerns that we have is we want to hear from you as to what you've seen and what you want to engage. Because Dr. Spiritus will go on and on about
Yeah.
all the love and
Right.
dedication he has. And respectfully, tonight's meeting is more so to listen
Right.
versus us to talk.
Right. There are a lot of things going on. We're not sitting sitting around doing nothing. You're going to see new things going on here on a regular basis. We're going to ask you to show up to many meetings because, you know, the council does know how to count. So when we have a lot of people at the meeting, that helps us get the votes that we need to get things done. So we were talking about, as the mayor said, the overdevelopment, the Lozman issue, you know, the submerged lands, paving roads, everything that we're doing, we need the support of the community at these meetings. So if you show up, I know so far the civic associations have been great. The condominium boards have been great. They've taken an active role in all of these issues. So we just want you to do the same thing. But if there are more issues, as the mayor said, let's talk about it now, and then let's give you an idea when these issues are going to be discussed, or maybe they're not going to be discussed, and we have to bring it up so that it will be discussed.
And that's what we're looking for. We want to have that discussion. Thanks, Dot. So we
Light
talked about,
pedestrian walkways.
thank you. Now we're,
That you push, that you get the pedestrian walkway.
now we're
So
talking.
you don't have a person get killed on the highway.
Thank you. Thank you. We did just repave some of the roads. That's something that we've been advocating for. So we've seen some of the roads on Singer Island. We're looking to push to get a lot of the other roads repaved as well. Coach.
No, the walkways like between Martinique and the Gulf Stream exit, there's nothing there.
We're putting in, it'll be next year, summer of '26.
Okay,
We're going to be getting 3, maybe 4 new walkways. They're going to be the lighted walkways.
okay.
And we're going to be upgrading all the existing walkways.
So you push a button and the sign goes off.
The
and it's gonna
signs
be-
go up and
there's
they'll
gonna be-
have the lights if you go
Perfect.
downtown.
So they are coming, but one of the concerns that Mr. Range will put in is the walkways and also the communication, because I appreciate Dr. Spirit has given insight and engagement, but we can't respond to everybody tonight. The problem with that is right now, we want to hear what's going on, because if you don't know about it, that means you don't know what's happening. So the bigger issue is communications, marketing, and media. So the fact that we have walkways coming, we need to make sure our residents know. That's why these newsletters are going out. That's why the mailers. So that's why I want to not respond to everything, more so to hear from everyone. Okay?
That's
Sorry?
the newsletter?
No, that part's not in the newsletter yet, but it's still in the process of approval and permitting, and that will be finalized. And once it's finalized, we will include it into the newsletter.
You'll get another newsletter in the fall, you'll get another one in the winter, and one in the spring. So every season we'll put out a new newsletter.
Thank you.
Communication is the key.
Yep.
Right. I've been, we've been retired like 12 years down here. We bought our house in '88, but made our living up in New Jersey. But communication, I started going to the meetings as soon as I retired. And I'll be honest with you, very few people from Singer Island go to the meetings unless there's a vote or different things, whether it be votes out here, anchoring, things like that. And that's why communication, if you don't go, you have no idea what's going on. And it can't be just for during elections at all. So these type of meetings are excellent because you're asking for our input. Or our input is we need the communication any way you can. All right.
And Coach, thank you for that. We'll give you guys some insight. 65% of the feedback we've gotten from these listening events have been about communications, whether it's internally, externally, marketing, and advertisement. So that's why you're going to see a lot more communications coming from the city. I want to congratulate our newest media communications director, Walter Stevens. Everybody welcome. The honor that somebody served this city for 20 plus years and it was hired internally to be able to serve and market. There's no better person that can advertise, market, and communicate. So we're going to put the right team around him to make sure he has the resources necessary to get that information out to every single one of you guys. So we can know about the crosswalks. We can know about the meetings and the engagement and the votes that's coming up. And you can know well ahead what's actually happening.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all for having this. I think that if we could have some additional speed enforcement coming over the Blue Heron Bridge, it's really gotten dangerous. People are driving way too fast coming over that. And I think if we could have a little more police presence there to help hopefully discourage some of the speeding that's going on would be great.
Where exactly?
It's a whole-
At
It is the
Blue
island,
Heron-
I agree, but
the
where
Blue
exactly were
Heron.
you talking about? Just over the bridge? Okay. Face the bridge. Right here, Caitlin, and then Mark, and then right here.
Hello, I'm Bill Contol. I've lived in Riviera Beach over 40 years, and I've seen a lot. And for all of us, it's a good feeling to see a council that's responsive. And Mayor, we really appreciate you coming with your staff. There's a really important issue coming up for us on the island, and it affects all of the city. As I don't know, many of you know, right over there, that dive area underneath the bridge is considered in the dive industry the #1 shore dive in the country. I have these pamphlets and they talk about Riviera Beach, Blue Heron Bridge, a local treasure. This is a treasure that all of the people in the city live and work and go to. I mean, on the weekends, you can see people walking to that bridge because it's so beautiful. But there's a danger coming up to that community we have for all of us, and that's there's a proposed condo, and I've been approached by their attorney, and he said, well, we're going to put up a condo, and it's only 300 feet right there, and yeah, it's going to shadow the dive area every morning of the year, but don't worry about it. There's not any wildlife or sea life there anyways, which of course is baloney. And so I don't want to get into individual names. It's the attorney for the proposed developer. I don't think they've submitted anything. All I want everyone to know is that if this is allowed, suddenly the west side of Singer Island that has nothing higher than 4 stories will start sprouting 25-story condos on the west side. And I don't think that's in the interest of the city of the Riviera Beach or Singer Island. The reason it's not in the interest of the city is because that money all goes to the CRA. It just gets wasted. It's not used by us. If that money from the CRA was put back into the city of Riviera Beach would get $3 to $4 million more every year. And we would control the height of that structure. It's a real danger if the property stays in the CRA that they will get a 25-story towering condo that will shadow our #1 dive site, and Riviera Beach will have the image all over the world of the place that destroyed a beautiful ecosystem that we have here. I've spoken to the head of that used to work there, and he said absolutely that kind of building is going to be destructive of the sea life there. People go swimming, and there's a underwater course, snorkeling and all that. And we should preserve that for everyone in the city. The dive industry in our city makes a lot of money. Our hotels, restaurants, they all make money on this. So I want all of you to know that this is an issue that we want to stand up on. There's a meeting on August 13th about the CR.
They may be changing the meeting because there's a conference that many of the council.
Okay. We will let you know, but there's a meeting about removing the CRA from Singer Island. What does that do? Well, it doesn't do anything for us. I mean, it just means that the tax money that's collected by the CRA, which now stays in the CRA and is used to renovate places in the city, will instead be given to the city of Riviera Beach to use as it wishes, to help people, reduce the water bills, help the police department. It's a win-win for us. So all I know is maybe the meeting will be moved, but that's the first step. But we need to fight this development right here. I've talked to several council people, and they all say the same thing. Oh, that's beautiful. But when you go over the bridge and you see that, you want to see what it looks like? Here, I got a little diagram for you. That's what it's going to look like if you let this. I took Marina Grande and I just stuck it right where that property is, and it shadows the dive area completely. You see that? It's nothing that we want for our city. So all I'm saying is this is something that everyone needs to get involved in, because once you let one building come in here, they're all going to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. And Bill has been an advocate for City of Riviera Beach for many years. One thing, though, that I can say is there's nothing been presented to the city as of yet, so I don't have any information as to what. I know there's just conversations, and they're asking for feedback. These are the important conversations to discuss. Community Redevelopment Association. It is a drawn-out agency. Community Redevelopment Agency. It's an actual map that outlines slum and blight in our community. So typically, they have them in your downtown corridors, and I believe we have about 18 years left on our CRA. which allows for additional support and development growth in the downtown corridor, which is the Broadway corridor, Barack Obama, and a small piece of Singer Island. So that's where the actual CRA map outlines. And that will sunset in about 18 years. Yep.
The Ritz-Carlton is in the CRA, by the way. It's blighted. Who do they report to?
So there's a separate association board. The CRA is reporting to the CRA director, which is Jadel Mercius, and the commissioners, which is the CRA board, which also represents the city. So the same board and your same commissioners also represent the CRA. Yes, sir. So the same concerns, these same meetings and same discussions, those would be the issues. But like I said, that hasn't been addressed as of yet. But one of the things I want to acknowledge, August 27th, Director Mercius did reach out. They are going to be moving the meeting because a lot of the majority of the council is going to be at the Florida League of Cities conference. Okay, so then it'll probably be the second meeting in September, which is probably around the 13th of September. But we'll make sure that exact date and that notice goes out on our city websites and city communications.
We're going to try and do it earlier if
Okay.
possible, just so you know, because we have an October deadline. If we want to reduce the CRA district, we have to have everything done by the beginning of October for the state.
This has been a conversation of reducing and increasing CRA. It's a very heavy lift, but it's something we can start with advocating for. The problem that you have when you try to reduce or increase your CRAs is this has to go through multiple readings, first and second reading ordinances, has to go to the state for approval. So we will have the conversations about potentially reducing and potentially increasing, because there's certain areas that we want to address slum and blight, especially on the west side of this community. But that'll be a conversation that we'll hopefully have. Since the meeting, Dr. Spear said he won't be at the 27th meeting. I'm not sure if we'll still have it, but we'll make sure notice goes out as early as possible. And we'll make sure we notice it out hopefully 3 weeks to a month out, so you guys can attend or even attend virtually. Kaylin, is there anything online? So if we have any comments, residents, again, if you guys are watching online, we want to get engagement from here and also virtually. Brother Mark? Yep, come over here next.
Good evening. Mark Weldon. I'm with the Driftwood Singer Island Condominium Association, 2323 Lake Drive. The building's been finished now for almost a year, and we're happy to say we're the only condo in the world that's reduced condo assessments from 1 year to the other. 20% reduction in assessments, 40% reduction in insurance cost. And that's something we're very proud of. And my beautiful wife, Nellie, is responsible for all that success. So the reason we came, and we're so happy to be here in Riviera Beach, is to talk about curb appeal, the future of security and development in our area. We all want our property values to go up. And we really appreciate, we have probably the best police department. We're developers around the country, and by far, you call the police and they show up and they do such great work.
I actually met this amazing couple walking out of Walmart with a police officer. We were shopping for a back to school event, and Officer Phillips, she introduced me to them, and they've been staples in this community and amazing leaders. So thank you for what you do. Go ahead.
And also, I want to recognize the code enforcement. I called code enforcement. I said, boy, we have these people that are building on Lake Drive, and they have had their permit for 15, 16 months, but nothing's being done. So when we see that in a community, that takes away from a potential buyer that might want to come into the community. So what we should possibly talk about doing is a fence that could be a temporary construction fence, but they put the beautiful advertising and mesh around it, like the city of Riviera Beach has done up and down Blue Heron, which would be a value add. And people don't have to look at the construction that is not happening. Perhaps we can look into why either they're going to build or not build. And then also our ex-neighbor, Brian, who's here, did a wonderful job managing the property to the north from us, 2401 and all the way to the corner. Brian's no longer with that organization. They have seawall problems, catastrophic failures. They've kicked everybody out of these older homes. And the issue is, if they're asking for huge entitlements, I guess I'd say a famous football coach once said, you are what your record says you are. but we all lost 4 games by 12 points. You still lost the 4 games. These folks who we have called many times and said, you better fix your seawall. This is horrible. And besides that, you cannot kick all these residents out without boarding up these windows, without putting the proper type of fencing in, without some kind of security and turning off the power. It's a hazard for so many reasons. And I'm like, do you really know what you're doing about developing? So this year, our company will add 150 million into new development. And it's not for us, it's for the future generations. These folks don't deserve to build anything over 2 stories. And I'm on the record saying, let's just start finding them, take the money and put it towards the new firehouse, the new water, or what have you. But the point is, we need to make sure that this doesn't become a real eyesore or a crime-ridden area, which is going to take away from what you all are trying to accomplish with the landscaping and the beautiful new asphalt roads that are there. In our Driftwood building, we only have 2 more units to sell. The city went ahead and allowed us to put an access control gate because we have the width and the length, and it's worked out perfectly. So we have a lot to be thankful for being in this community. It's a great community, much better than some of the others that we develop in. We're not actively developing here, but thank you very much, Mayor, for your service and leading us. And maybe we look into these things so we can make sure we don't go in the wrong direction here on Singer Island.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And the dialogue and conversation is you have an open board, open door policy. Mark and Nellie, they email, they communicate, and they let us know the concerns that are being addressed. I want all of our residents to have that same ability. Reach out to your board, send out an email, reach out to your staff, come to the meetings, and we will communicate. We will have a professional means of getting back to you within a timely fashion. We just recently adopted a Bill of Rights for our staff to make sure they understand how to deal with the residents in our community so that customer service is number one. Those recommendations came from one of these listening tours, conversations with Mark and Nellie, and talking about just the engagement. We need to make sure that there's a certain level of respect and decorum coming from every part of the city, whether it's staff, whether it's the colleagues, whether it's the residents. We want to make sure that engagement properly reflects what we want to build in Riviera Beach. So we will be responding to concerns and questions and ideas, and also ways of how we can elevate and increase the quality of life for all of our residents.
I've been living in on Singer Island for more than 7 years, and I do remember when I first moved in, one of the issues that was talked about was the new water system. So I know you're looking for input, so I'll share my thoughts on that. I've only admittedly been watching it peripherally, but from what I have heard, I've heard a lot of problems and issues and legal stuff going on for 7 years, and that's a big concern to me, is the lack of progress on that. So that's my input. You know, with that, I guess I have a question. I'd like to know a couple of dates. I'd like to know when you expect first shovels to go into the dirt is one date. And the other date is, when can I expect water from this new system to start coming out of my taps? And everything else is just kind of noise that keeps re-churning. So I don't expect you're going to have exact dates. There's no way for you to know that. So what I'm asking is, what are those latest dates? What's the longest that it could possibly take? You know, it's already been, I've been here for 7.5 years, but maybe it's been going on for another 10 years before that. I really don't know. So how much longer is it going to go on? When can I expect actual action to start? That's my question.
That's an excellent question. We will be making sure communication gets out so that you can know about the updates. Just to give you just a brief overview, we've been addressing the wells that we've put the most money into our water plant that any board has done in probably the last 25 years. This water plant is 25 years past its useful life. So right now, over the last 6 to 7 years, we've put about $30 or $40 million into retrofitting the current water plant. We have to change the entire infrastructure, all of the pipes, all of the mains, and also the actual brain, the facility. That's upwards of $1 billion of development when you incorporate the roads and the plant. So we have to make sure that we do it safely but aggressively. And we're focused on that. We will be sending out updates and notifications, but just to let you know, the wells have been currently installed. We're doing about 4, Dr. Spit, is 4 wells currently? 4 are in process right now, but we have 4 more that are going to be going. So we have 4 currently in the shovels in the ground of the wells, and then we have 4 additional ones that are going to be actually dug as well. So a total of 8 new wells to be dug. And we're looking to get our GMP price in the next few weeks so that we can actually move forward with proceeding and actually getting it in the ground. The plants, they've told us a 3 to 4 year process to actually rebuild our plant. So we're hoping to actually turn those pipes in the next 4 to 5 years max. That's hopefully the worst case scenario, but we will send communications out because that information shouldn't be within my head or within my staff. It should be out to the residents. So you should know about it. That's where communications is going to give you an information so that we can have constant newsletters, emails, conversations so that you know, because you've been here 7 years and you still don't know what's going on with it. So unfortunately, that's where we're falling short. Yes.
I'm sorry,
Yes.
I'd still like an answer to my question.
Absolutely. We're going to go ahead and recap all the questions at the end and then be able to answer all of the concerns that we have.
We're gonna answer
So
it.
4 to 5 years was the time frame when you could turn on the pipe?
So 2029, 2030?
Yes, that is a completion date. So once we get the GMP price,
Please, please.
absolutely. So once we get that GMP price, we will give you an exact time frame. You can hold that. Well, we'll give you an exact time frame as to the outline and the deadline, but we will get you answers for those.
Just so you know, with the water plant, the plans and specifications for building the plant are 90% complete. We expect to be deciding whether we're going to put it out to bid or whether we're going to go with the design build process that we're doing right now. But based on both ways, doing it both, whether we do design build or whether we put it out to bid, we expect the plant to be completed in 2028, but it takes 1 year to get a plant put online after you finish it. So 2029 sometime is when we expect to actually have water coming out of that plant. But I can assure you that we have upgraded at the same time the old plant. We've been putting a lot of money into the old plant so that everything that comes out of the old plant will meet or exceed all state and federal regulations.
Okay. What about
In
shovels
addition-
in the dirt?
You'll see it in the next.
So they're actually happening now because the wells are being done, but within the next 3 to 6 months, you will have shovels in the ground.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And we actually just hired a brand new utility district director. Josh Neiman just started about 30 days ago. And he has hit the ground running. He's cleaning up the facilities. He's making sure he's addressing some of the concerns. And we have to keep the water running at the premium service. So that's where we want to keep focused on the current plant, because if you're still looking at 4 to 5 years before we have our new plant fully functional and operational, we want to make sure that we're still running with the outdated plant that we have. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a quick follow-up question. What about the pipes that then would come in? Because I heard also we have an issue with some of the pipes very old and containing lead.
So a lot of the pipes are being replaced. As we redo the roads and resurface the roads, we are changing out the pipes as well. So we're doing those in phases, and we're incorporating that as we actually change out all the roads throughout the entire city and Singer Island with the resurfacing. So a lot of the pipes here aren't the old lead-based pipes because they're a little bit newer within the time frame, but throughout the entire city, there are some pipes that have to be redone, especially around the water plant.
Okay, thank you. But my question was actually around the taxes. Yeah, so we pay one of the highest tax rates.
It's actually, questions
yeah.
about the taxes or the pipes?
No, the taxes. No,
Okay.
I asked the pipes because we just were on that topic.
Of course.
But so I just had a follow-up question. But no, why I wanted to ask was on the taxes. So we pay our highest tax rates, or one of the highest in the county. And if you look at, it was always a success story from the council to keep the tax rate flat. But the overall tax base significantly increased, no, with all the increase in assessments and hence the budget for the town. And obviously we as residents, we see maybe castles being built for the fire and departments and everything else, but we don't see a lot of the other things happening in the town. So question is, will we see another flat tax coming out right now, or is Riviera Beach actually, or the council thinking about actually lowering the tax rate and getting more in line with the other part of the county?
And we did just recently set our millage rate, the maximum millage rate, which is going to be the same that we've had over the last 6 years. So we haven't increased it. We set the maximum that we can go, but based on what the budget is presented, and we're in budget conversations right now, we will make a decision as the council as to where the millage is going to go, but it will not actually increase this year because we've already set the maximum. So to answer your question, we'll make that decision probably in September as we review and the staff goes over the budget.
But a flat millage rate is still a significant increase in money available to the
Well, that's because of appreciation of the value of properties.
The homeowners here, in particular, I think
Mhm.
have a lot that don't get the 3% max. Yeah, they're paying way more than that.
Correct. So with that flat millage rate, because the values of property have gone up tremendously in Palm Beach County, that's why we're seeing a little bit of that increase that's happening throughout the city. So we will identify the budget. Our only role as elected officials is to pass a balanced budget, to be policymakers and to give you a balanced budget. When the board comes to us with the costs and the operations, we are going to go through with a fine tooth comb to identify, make sure that we don't have top heavy spending for administration, that we're really focusing on infrastructure and we're keeping our budget flat and below. Because we've actually put a lot of dollars into the reason that we're seeing these resurface in Singer Island right now is because we use the additional revenue that we got from that millage rate to resurface a lot of the roads here on the island. So we will be addressing that and we will be showing it and sending out the budget within the next 1 to 2 months.
Why was the fire station prioritized over the water project? And also on further to that, why is the fire station seem to be such a vanity project? And as you say, castles in the sky here, this fire station is so glitz glam, it's like Las Vegas. Who decided all of that?
Right. And again, I think when we talked about useful life, a lot of the facilities when this board took place, when I was elected in 2019, everything was falling apart. We had an entire city of failing infrastructure because many boards for many years didn't address the infrastructure, the pipes, the water plant, city facilities, police, or fire stations. So you had 4 fire stations across the city that caused for us to have mold, mildew, and bad living conditions. You had individuals that were living in these mold-infested facilities. So we didn't prioritize. We just literally found where we had to start addressing infrastructure. Water was actually priority. Water just takes a longer period of time because a fire station is 4 walls in a building. Of course, that can take 12 to 18 months, which we did. The water plant takes a year after completion just to bring it online, which is a 5 to 7 year project. So we've been working on that, but that's a very costly project. And then, the height of COVID. I would say that every building needed to be addressed. And we've had to strategically address City Hall, police, fire, and also water. And we're working on all of them holistically because as a board, our residents, as was stated, we have some of the highest taxes that come from Singer Island and FP&L. Those are our highest tax bases that pay into the city. We have to make sure that those dollars are being used safely, aggressively, but also benefiting all of the residents, but most importantly, who's paying the high taxes. So looking at the roads here, looking at the fire stations here, we went from 4 fire stations down to 3, cutting our cost, operation, and manpower because we noticed within the 8 square miles, we didn't need the one on Military if we changed some of the lighting structure and was able to access from Congress and Blue Heron out to the western communities. So we cut some of that cost down, and we're actually putting more of those dollars into focusing on development, growth, and infrastructure. So we're not building the palaces, we're building useful buildings that's going to last the next 50 years. These fire stations were built, water plant was built in the 60s. You're talking about fire stations that were built over 40 years ago. Having people live in there, we had to address those concerns. So that's why we tore down the police station. That's why we tore down all the fire stations, because I wouldn't imagine our firefighters, the lawsuits that we would incur with having them sleeping in mold infesting buildings. I mean, when we call and they come running, we don't think about the conditions of what they're living in. So those are why we want to look at all the buildings and we're prioritizing all of them. That's why we're working on them simultaneously, but we don't want to put us in a position to where it's shell shock or payment shock for our residents because we're putting so much burden onto everything because nothing was addressed for many years. The one building since 2003 was the marina. on Broadway, if you guys are familiar. Nothing else has been built or established or developed in 25 years. But these boards over the last 6 years have addressed 6, 7 different projects and brought in additional ad valorem tax, so it's not a burden on any one resident. So trying to increase the tax base is also going to help with lowering and bringing back the millage rate to lower it for our residents as well. Kayla?
I'm disappointed and sad that there was a decision made to charge for parking here at the Ocean Mall. I really think that's unconscionable. And if you look north of this city, I know I have to hold it close. If you look north of this city, Juno Beach, Jupiter, everything, it's free. That brings people. It brings people. When you're trying to attract people, whether it's to your beach or whatever else, make it easy. And it's also not fair to the residents. I know you're saying $25 a year. Why should you pay $25 a year when you're paying taxes? I'm sorry. Then my other comment, and I'm a short building person. I know it's too late for the corridor on Broadway, but to think about this wall of concrete that's coming, it's a divide between the east and west side of this city, and that breaks my heart. I envisioned a city with housing and neighborhoods and people walking, not tall, big buildings where we don't even know who's inside of them. And they're not locals. They're not Riviera Beach people. And that's just my comment. I know nothing can be done about it, but that's a heartache.
Thank you for your comments, ma'am.
I just want to talk about the cost for the plant, which we don't really know what it is. And everything's going up, and with these tariffs and the steel and everything else, nobody can protect it. But as far as the bid, opposed to design build, I was in the industry from 18 years old, worked my way up to be a project manager without a college degree because of my experience. So I sat in on hundreds of meetings and bid meetings and all this, but the design build, in other words, do we have that figured out what it might cost? In other words,
Water plant cost?
yeah,
We're going to have that probably in the next,
because
Yeah,
what
within the next couple of days.
Because even, in other words, even the bid process, when you get change orders, when they come with change orders, which happen, normally it would be on something that it's not in the specs, it's not in the prints, but you run into these things. In other words, I worked for big companies, Fortune 500 companies. They had people who would figure out exactly what it would cost to do the job before it even started. So otherwise, you could get hoodwinked. That's going to happen. And if you don't have contract administrators that are following the job closely and know what they're doing, we're in trouble, because we're just going to pay through and you're going to pay for it. You're paying the most taxes. We need water. We need this new plant, but we got to watch this closely. And I'm just hoping we can do that, because if we don't, you talk about 2030 or whatever. What do you say the bill? Is U.S. Water still involved? So what I'm saying, and of course, and they're a good company. I know I've dealt with them, but they're expensive. And our expenses are just going to go up in materials and everything else. So please, let's watch that. Thank you.
And that's a very good point. We have to watch the budget, the spending with U.S. Waters. That's why we hired that utility district director. But as long as that transition period takes, we need to make sure we're identifying how long they're going to need to stay and our director is going to need to stay. Because if we have a strong enough director, we should need a consultant to be on the team as well. So thank you for those comments. Thanks.
I was just looking in the brochure that I received, I don't know if it was yesterday or today. Is this an artist's rendition of the new firehouse on Singer Island? Yes. Okay. My comment is I realize that the old firehouse is old, outdated, has to be replaced and all that. But one of the things I did like about it is that it's a small, unobtrusive building that almost disappears. And I'm looking at this picture here. It's 4 stories and with red and white paint, and it's just going to stand out like a sore thumb. I don't know if it's too late. Design's already done. It's already ready to go. But I just don't think that fits within the surrounding area. And if maybe at this point, maybe just a different paint job would be different, but a 4-story building, is that really necessary? I'm counting the stack of windows.
Yeah, that tower itself, we're trying to lower the height of that. It's really there for aesthetic reasons, architectural reasons. There's no purpose for that tower whatsoever, the top floor of that. So we're trying to take that down and we're trying to work on the entranceway a little.
If I
So
get
to
rid
that
of the-
point, it's
if I
not-
get rid of the tower, I still see a 3-story building compared to it's now one. I'm counting stacks of windows, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but
So
that's what it
still,
looks like.
I haven't seen the newsletter, but yeah, to still work on it with the rendering, that top stack, we're still going through approval process for the fire station, which we're going to be actually presenting at the next council meeting, hopefully in September. So that's where we'll be finalized. So for the additional fire station, we're going to be discussing and having that discussion at the next,
Over the top.
that's going to be up for a
What
vote
do you
on the
mean,
next meeting.
Aesthetically or cost-wise or what? Aesthetically.
And that's a smaller version of what's going to be here on the beach.
Right, but the height looks the.
The whole thing, the red, white, it's so inappropriate.
Yeah, partially it's in the flood zone. They need to design it that the first floor floods. That's exactly why they designed it with a little higher density because of king tide coming through at that location. So the color scheme, I think they were trying to be in line with them, the height. And we will be having in-depth conversations. So we will take the feedback for the concerns with the height, the color. The board will be having the discussion, but not on the drawings. The Kaufman is going to present it. Currently, that's what we're working with the board, as Dr. Spear said, working with trying to see what kind of renderings and how we can adjust them to make it conducive to the concerns of the residents. So these concerns we'll be taking back to the discussion, and then the board will vote on the actual building for the fire station in September. Yes, you have your representative. Mhm. So that's why we asked for.
I'm very vocal, and I've already brought this up at a couple of council meetings. If you look at, go on YouTube and you look at the past meetings, you'll see my comments concerning the tower, concerning the heights. The color. I've commented on most of it already, and we're seeing what we can do to mitigate some of these things.
So we will have representation. That's why we wanted to make sure. And that's why with these meetings, I'm grateful to have representation here with my colleagues. Because if it's just me, you want to have multiple votes on the board to allow for them to hear the concerns, to address them, and has to give feedback from the residents, especially that live in that area. All right, guys, hold on. We're gonna reel it in. We will have discussion. We're going to save some time so we can have kind of one-on-one talk. So if you can give us a minute just to kind of hold tight, because if we can give everybody an opportunity, and then either at the end, Dr. Spirit is not going anywhere, so he'll be able to talk one-on-one. And then if you want to comment again, you absolutely can. But I want to hear from everybody that has a chance.
Keep in mind, my name is Brian Cohen. Keep in mind when you're looking at the fire station that you're going to have fire trucks getting bigger and bigger because we have buildings that are tall. So let's not go ahead and lower it to where you're going to have too big a fire truck that won't fit in there, which they did in Fort Lauderdale.
One big story. I saw 3-4 stories.
If you do a tilt wall building and you have an opening that's big enough, you can get the fire truck in there and have enough room there to, for growth. Also, with Commissioner Spirit saying that they're replacing the water pipe from north from the fire station. What about south? Us people that live south of the fire station there, do we have enough pressure? And is that pipe, it's as antiquated as the system is. Why don't we do the whole thing at once?
To answer that question, why don't we do all the infrastructure across the city at once? Because that is absolutely, but the pressure is strong enough to maintain. So we're just looking at the impact, worst to first. We're trying to make sure that we're addressing all of them across the city. And because the pressure is strong still in that south pipe, that's why it hasn't actually gone up to the top. But we have to address all of the infrastructure in Riviera Beach from Military to Singer Island. And the concern is that it's a strong burden on every taxpayer. And we agree, but it will be addressed within the time frame, but that's why we had to address the first one on the north end, because the south one does have strong enough pressure. Yes.
You know, look what happened with the water plant. You held it off for a year, it doubled in price,
Mhm.
you know, and everything. If you go ahead and you have to pay for mobilization,
Yes.
they're already there. Bite the bullet, go ahead, do it all at once, get it done.
Okay.
Understood. It's going to be pain, but it's going to be more painful if later on down the line, it doubles in price.
Now, that's a great topic I want to talk about, because what we've heard and we've talked about a lot is the money that it's going to cost, the impact of Singer Island and the ad valorem tax that's being paid. We also have to talk about development. These developers that are coming in help with development and growth. Impact fees and ad valorem tax base helps with actually some of the projects. So we want to take that into consideration, because across the entire city, a lot of residents speak out against certain projects. We want to get the right projects put onto the right lots and right land, but one way that we can help is by bringing down administrative costs, making sure that we're not top heavy, and really focusing on some additional ad valorem taxes through infrastructure, through growth, through housing, through commercial, through development throughout our community. So we want to make sure we have an open mindset, because a lot of residents, and what I've heard, this is my honest opinion, and this is a safe zone to have the conversation because we have to. They don't want to see anything built in their backyard. They come to the meetings and they're outspoken about ad valorem taxes coming up because they don't want to change certain facilities into housing or growth. So we can't increase the ad valorem tax base to help with these projects because we don't want to develop in my backyard. So let's take that into consideration when we talk about the types of developments, wherever we put them. Because I know at the base of the bridge, we may not want a certain density, but what would work? What would be good options? What would you guys like to see there so that we can get some tax base from that vacant lot there, as opposed to just being, dirt and grass? So let's really take that into consideration. Let's dive deep, because we're just the voices for you guys. We're just going to go back to the board. As Dr. Spear said, he just relayed all of the messages, and I've actually heard them during the meetings with the height, with the color. So I've heard these conversations and comments that exactly were reflected from your concerns. We can take back this message and this narrative, but you guys got to give us feedback of what you would like to see, what we can do. How do we generate that additional revenue? Because if we're going to bite the bullet, well, what can we do about development? I know Mr. Canto, he is against that high density or that development. He doesn't want to put that Marina Grande at that base of the bridge. But what would look good there? What gives us something to develop there? What's an option so that we can take it back to them and give some feedback? All right.
Yeah.
And what about tax base for other opportunities? This PNC building across the way, what's going in there? And why are they allowed to keep it looking like this for 3 years? Whoever owns it.
Thank you. Where's the other microphone? Oh, Mark, there you go.
Hey, one quick comment about our water. In our condo building, we put in about a $25,000 water plant. Okay, and our water is perfect. It's been tested over and over, and it's absolutely perfect. So if we go ahead and fix all the new wells and a beautiful water plant, it's going to take a decade to get all the pipes to everyone. So maybe there's some other options to look at. I know one of our successes for our business, we watch how we buy and who we buy from. We only buy from manufacturers, no distributors, no middlemen. So for instance, who are you buying this HPVD pipe, PVC pipe? Where's it coming from? So I heard we spent 35 million on each building, each firehouse, and we built them out of block. Like Brian said, we would never build a building like that out of block. We would have built it out of tilt wall. And we would have saved so much money. You could still get the beautiful architecture. You can even have the color into the concrete if you wanted. The paint isn't going to drive your cost. It's just having the right engineering up front. So we build so much every year. Design build, they'd have to shoot me with a gun before I let anyone do anything design build. And we peer review every service by 2 or 3 times because you can't tell who's on the take. and we peer review, peer review, peer review. And we set the specs the right way. So I think if you have a committee with some of these smart people you just hired and take some of those things to heart, shift some of your best practices, then maybe you can reduce the cost, and spend the money better.
We have a dynamite industrial section in Riviera Beach. It's really the backbone of Palm Beach County as far as we're concerned. If you can't find it there, it's going to be hard to find it elsewhere. Why not go after beefing that place up and filling all the empty areas in there and get your tax dollars from that? It shouldn't be just wasted away over there. It's unbelievable. It's a treasure.
And we have focused on that. We need to make sure that that information is going out. As you guys know, we have a large distribution center there that we approved, Amazon, which employs over 400 or 500 people out of that one location. And so we're building out that infrastructure and across the city. So across the board, from Military to Singer Island, from Silver Beach to First Street, we have to make sure we're being aggressive, but we're being safe with development and growth. And we're doing it, in a way that doesn't impact any of the residents in a negative fashion. So we want to hear from you. So the industrial area is definitely being worked on. So yes, ma'am. Thank you. I didn't hear anything about mooring field tonight, guys. Nobody has any questions, concerns, feedback, thoughts of mooring fields? I've had that discussion of the mooring fields. Is anyone familiar with the mooring field? So managed mooring fields, because we have a lot of boats in the intercoastal now anyway. So there's mooring fields all over. We just don't have any managed mooring fields. Yeah, hold on, Chip. Use the microphone. There you go.
What we have now is a mooring field that's not managed. I heard Diane mention you have this big building, you don't know who's in there. You absolutely know who's in there. You got a tax record, you can track them down. There is no idea of who is on a boat out here, where they came from, what they're up to, because they never had to check in, they never had to do anything. So me personally, I was born and raised here, been here 70 years. I don't know why we haven't done it yet.
Any more comments, Brian? Yeah. I know you had something for me.
The mooring fields have to go ahead and be regulated so that the Coast Guard or the Marine Patrol or somebody's going to go up there and see to make sure that the effluent discharge is being contained on the boat. Because when I would come in with my boat in Fort Lauderdale into the inlet, Coast Guard would jump on, and the first thing they look at is your seacock to make sure that you've got a plastic band on the seacock to you're not discharging into the waters. In the mooring fields that we have that aren't managed here, you've got lemonade and Clark bars floating in the intercoastal there, and it's something that the E. coli count with this heat and everything else, you're going to turn into the Keys. So it definitely, I agree with you that the mooring fields have to be managed in some way, shape, or form.
Thank you. Caitlin, if you could read the comments. I know it's not a question, but the comments, I want to make sure that it's full transparency.
I was wondering why we haven't heard an uproar from the side regarding the water. Thank you for letting me know. That's always been my question.
So a resident just wrote online about wanting to hear the same concerns about the water. So that was one of the feedbacks from online. All right. So yes, please.
This is just any topic, right?
Anything.
Any topic. Okay, I'm going to face everybody, so don't have my back to everyone. I've lived here for over 20 years, and the reason I moved here is to walk to the beach. And I'd really like for us to focus on changing the culture so that this is a beach community and not a major throughway. I walk to the beach every morning just about, and the speed limit is just, people fly through there 50 miles an hour. The speed limit is 35. And I've been to so many other beach communities where it's the custom, it is the culture to stop and wait for people to cross the street. We have crosswalks here, which nobody seems to see, because my friend who I meet at the beach on many mornings, she said she went through the crosswalk today She was a quarter of the way through and the person just went right through the crosswalk. So I really, if I have anything to focus on, it's safety, it's public safety for us walking to the beach. And our friends from the condos, they love to come walk in our neighborhood. I live across the street and, that's why I live here, so I can walk to the beach. But I about get run over every day when I walk there. And we need some enforcement of the speed limit. And I understand that there's crosswalks in the making, which are a year away. A year is a long time. We need some flashing lights, and we need the law enforcement of Riviera Beach to enforce the speed limit and obey those crosswalks themselves, because I'm told from my neighbors that they see the Riviera Beach police zoom right through those crosswalks when people are trying to walk across. So that is that's my issue, and I think that's a simple one to solve. It's not that costly, right? And so let's just have some safety and for us to enjoy our beach community and not be living on a major highway.
Thank you. And thank you for those comments.
Yes, thank you for listening.
We did have that crosswalk conversation. We've been talking about that for a few years now, but I do agree, if we can try to get that expedited. So that's been a conversation where we want to get that done. So let's try to work on expediting that. So we'll make sure we take those notes. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry I was late. I don't know if this was already something that was brought up, but I own Pura Vida Divers here on the island. So we're a scuba diving company, and we've been here since 2002 in the same spot. And I know there's a lot of potential future development happening on the island right at the base of the Blue Heron Bridge, or as you come off the island into Phil Foster Park, where the old Singer Island Yacht Club and whatnot was. So just Mousetrap, the rat trap. So just wanting to say that we're very interested in keeping an eye on that and being involved in that. And the Blue Heron Bridge, I'm sure you guys know, is the #1 shore diving site in the world. It's a gem for Riviera Beach. It's a gem for the diving community. And just to be thinking about responsible development in those key areas that could impact that. People travel from all over the world to come to that site.
Thank you. And hearing that from somebody that, is actually in the industry besides my friend who's the attorney over there, it's very good to hear that as well. So thank you both. We did comment on that before, but I appreciate it. We definitely. So, and we want to keep hearing those comments because that's the engagement we want to hear about. What do we want to see? Safe development, the proper development, and the right growth. So I'm going to have my chief of staff. He's going to recap some of the comments tonight. I did want to get you guys in here and out of here in a timely fashion so we can have some food. You guys, we have a local vendor that actually provided dinner and meals for you guys tonight, but we'll stay for a little bit longer just to kind of engage and to have some conversation. I will have my chief of staff do a recap, make sure if we didn't miss anything. And if we did, we want to get it added to the notes and then get it disseminated out to the residents to address all the questions and concerns. So if somebody couldn't attend, they'll have the information later.
And just so you know, just last night at the council meeting, there was a presentation on art in public places. And I think some pretty interesting things coming for the bridge that I think you all may like as well. So keep a close eye on that. I am going to recap the notes. I did my best to capture as much of it as possible. You guys let me know whether I pass or fail when we're done. All right. All right. You guys want to know what is planned for Singer Island moving forward. You want pedestrian walkways with lighting. In particular, Martin Inc. and Gulfstream was pointed out, poor walkways. Communication is key. We need more meetings like this. We need more residents attending council meetings. We need additional speed enforcement coming over the bridge, more police presence. We need, or the dive area is the #1 shore dive in the country. And the proposed condo that is or the condo that's proposed for there is a danger to the dive area and will cast a shadow over the dive area. This could create a bigger issue even on the Western Shore with other high rises that may be planned for the future as well. We should preserve this dive center for our city, and there's going to be a meeting, the date to be determined, in which they're going to discuss moving the CRA district that or boundaries that interfere or that come across to Singer Island. Driftwood Condo Association, you guys are the only one in the country to lower insurance and I told you I write it as I heard. Our police are the best in the country. There was also recognition given to our code enforcement team. We need to utilize decorated fences for construction sites so that we can kind of reduce the eyesore. Property that was maintained across from the garden, the new owners are now kicking out residents. They have unaddressed seawall issues, and we need to make sure that we keep beautification of the city and that area at top of mind. Concerns about the lack of progress with the water issue. The question was asked of when will there be a groundbreaking and when will water start to come into our pipes. Riviera Beach has some of the highest taxes in the county. Will we see another flat tax or even consider decreasing? I'm sorry, Singer Island. I see what you're saying. My apology. Singer Island has one of the highest tax rates in the county, and questions about whether there be another flat tax or even consider reducing those taxes to come in line with the other cities. Why did the fire station take priority over the water plant? There's disappointment and sadness about the decision to change to charge for parking. Why should we have to pay $25 a year when we pay taxes? If we don't have contract administrators to watch the building of this water plant closely, then it's going to cost us much more than we think. The old fire station was small and almost disappears, but the new one will stand out like a sore thumb. Do we get to vote on the fire station that's going on Singer Island? Can we consider different colors and reducing the height of the building? A resident also mentioned that we need to keep in mind that fire trucks are going to be getting bigger because the buildings are going to be higher and getting bigger. Question about whether the water pressure for residents on the south is also strong, and why not do the pipes all at once? Why not bite the bullet and go ahead and do it instead of waiting? And waiting could make the costs go up even more. What's going into the PNC building? Why do they get to keep it looking the way it does for 3 years? There may be other options for short-term water resolution, like the tank that was added at the Dreffwood facility. We should never do a design and build, and we need to have all of this peer reviewed. Beef up the industrial zone to increase revenues. We currently have mooring fields that are unmanaged. We don't know who are on these boats and what they're doing. The affluent discharge needs to be monitored, and code enforcement needs to take place as well. We need to manage and regulate our mooring fields. We need to change the culture of the city into a beach community and not a pass-through community. Currently, cars are speeding over the bridge and throughout Singer Island, throughout the city as well. Ignoring crosswalks, we need to make it more safe. Enforcement of speed limit, flashing lights to make it safer. And police also need to obey the same crosswalks. And then another comment again about the making sure that we have responsible development that doesn't impact the dive industry. And that are all the comments.
Did he touch on everything, guys? Please, if you can, give it up for my chief of staff, because one of the things I do know, actually, it's funny, Mark told me this. He said that we need to hire quality, strong leadership. When I got elected and appointed as the mayor, I had to search high and low for somebody that understood policy. Mr. Range actually worked with Minorities for Medical Marijuana for 5 years in Tallahassee. He wrote policy, writes RFPs, and I recruited him. I've known him since college. He was a 17-year-old freshman, and I was an 18-year-old sophomore. And we've been running together ever since. Our goal was to come and to change communities from UCF and now up to Riviera Beach. So I'm thankful that I was able to bring him here to the city to be able to serve. Hiring strong leaders is what's required throughout the city in any organization. You have to have smarter people around you. So I had to bring in somebody that I knew would be able to help me serve the community and to take this information that you guys gave right back to the city council, to my staff, and to hopefully implement policies based upon your concerns and your narrative. So hopefully he captured everything for you guys. If we missed anything, please let us know.
As well, if there are additional comments, or you didn't feel comfortable saying it tonight, or you think about it later on tonight when you're in bed, feel free to shoot me an email. erange@rivierabeach.org, and we'll make sure that those get added into the mayor's report. Although I will say that I'm hoping we are at the end of the listening session so that we can actually produce this report and cover it with staff and with the council members, and then be able to present that to residents as well. So, but again, if you do have additional comments, feel free to shoot me an email.
And now at the end means that we just wanted to make sure that this could be incorporated into the report, but this is just the beginning of the listening. We're going to try to do these on a consistent basis. Dr. Spiritus did mention that his newsletters will be going out quarterly, which is something that's going to keep engagement. But these conversations, I want to make sure that we continue to have them, because new issues are going to continue to arise throughout the community. And we want to hear from you. When they come up, we want to be able to listen. We want to implement policy, and we want to protect all of our residents. So, sir. erange@rivierabeach.org. I believe he has some business cards we'll give out to you guys tonight. ERANGE@rivierabeach.org. And he is going to be the point of contact. You need to get a hold of me or the mayor's office or anybody within the city. Mr. Range will be there. We do have Dr. Hayes here from the city manager's office, who's the assistant to the city manager, who is taking the same feedback. So thank you, Dr. Hayes, for being here. And thank you, everybody that came. Guys, have a wonderful night. Enjoy. We will continue to have discussion and dialogue. Let's go ahead and get some food before you go. And please, thank you for coming out tonight, guys.